Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a season in life when noise becomes the enemy of growth. Not the noise outside of you, but the noise within. The opinions, the explanations, the justifications that need to be seen, the urge to be understood. And as we step into 2026, the call is clear. Focus on yourself and master the art of silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength under control. Silence is confidence that doesn't need applause. When you truly know who you are and where you're going, you don't waste energy announcing it. You move quietly, deliberately, powerfully. Focusing on yourself does not mean selfishness. It means stewardship. It means taking responsibility for your time, your energy, your future, and your purpose. Too many people are exhausted not because life is hard, but because they are everywhere except where they should be, investing in everyone else's expectations while neglecting their own calling. 2026 demands discipline. It demands clarity. It demands that you stop explaining your vision to people who don't have the capacity to see it. Some people don't misunderstand you. They simply don't belong in the next chapter, and that's okay. Growth requires separation. Elevation requires silence. When you master the art of silence, you stop reacting to everything. You stop arguing with ignorance. You stop defending your decisions. You let results speak. You let consistency speak. You let transformation speak. Silence becomes your shield and focus becomes your weapon. There is power in moving quietly while building loudly on the inside. While others talk about plans, you execute. While others seek validation, you cultivate discipline. While others chase attention, you chase alignment. In silence, you hear yourself again. In focus, you rediscover your strength. In commitment, you rebuild your future. This is not the year to prove anything to anyone. This is the year to become undeniable. 2026 be the year your life gets louder through results, not words. Let your absence from drama be your presence in purpose. Your silence confuse those who expected explanations, and let your growth answer every question. Silence has long been misunderstood. A world that celebrates volume, speed, and constant expression, quietness is often mistaken for fear, passivity, or surrender. People assume that the one who speaks the loudest holds the most power, that the one who argues the hardest is the strongest, that the one who explains the most is the most confident. But history, wisdom, and personal growth all reveal a deeper truth. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength under control. True strength does not rush to prove itself. It does not feel threatened by opinions. Does it scramble to defend every decision? Silence comes from a place of inner stability. When you are secure in who you are, you do not need to narrate your life to everyone around you. You do not need constant validation. You do not need applause to confirm your worth. Silence becomes your evidence that you know something others do not, that your confidence is rooted, not borrowed. Weakness reacts. Strength observes. Weakness seeks immediate relief through words. Strength waits for the right moment. Silence allows you to see clearly, to assess situations without emotional interference. When you are quiet, you notice patterns. You hear what people say when they think you are not listening. You recognize intentions that are hidden beneath words. Silence sharpens perception, and perception is power. There is also strength in refusing to engage in unnecessary battles. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every provocation requires defense. Many arguments are designed to drain your energy, not to reach truth. Silence denies chaos the satisfaction it seeks. It is not avoidance, it is discipline. Choosing not to respond is often a higher level of control than responding with anger or justification. Silence protects your energy. Words cost energy, especially when they are fueled by emotion. Explaining yourself repeatedly to people who are committed to misunderstanding you is exhausting. Defending your boundaries to those who benefit from crossing them is draining. Silence allows you to conserve your strength for what truly matters: growth, progress, and purpose. When you stop over-explaining, you stop bleeding energy into places that were never meant to sustain you. In silence, confidence matures. Loud confidence often hides insecurity, while quiet confidence rests in certainty. The strongest individuals in any room are often the calmest. Do not rush to dominate conversations or assert superiority. Their presence alone carries weight. They know that authority does not come from how much you speak, but from how grounded you are in your values and actions. Silence also builds emotional intelligence. When you pause instead of reacting, you give yourself space to choose wisdom over impulse. You stop being controlled by triggers. You stop handing others the power to dictate your emotions. Silence becomes a moment of self-mastery where you decide your response instead of surrendering to instinct. Over time, this practice creates resilience, clarity, and emotional strength. Many people fear silence because it removes distraction. When everything becomes quiet, you are left alone with your thoughts, your truth, and your responsibilities. But that is where real growth happens. Silence forces reflection. It reveals what needs to be healed, changed, or strengthened. Those who avoid silence often avoid themselves. Those who embrace it begin to understand who they truly are. Silence also elevates your words. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. People listen differently when they know you are intentional about what you say. Your voice becomes measured, purposeful, and impactful. Silence teaches you that speaking is not about filling space. It is about adding value. When you finally do speak, it is with clarity, noise. In leadership, silence commands respect. A leader who listens more than they speak gains insight, trust, and authority. Silence allows you to hear perspectives you would otherwise miss. It teaches patience and discernment. The strongest leaders are not those who dominate conversations, but those who understand when to speak and when to remain still. Silence is also a form of self-respect. It says, I do not owe everyone access to my thoughts, plans, or emotions. Privacy is power. Everything needs to be shared. Some dreams need protection while they grow. Some plans need silence to survive. Speaking too soon invites doubt, criticism, and interference. Silence allows your vision to develop without external pressure. Ultimately, silence is strength because it reflects control. Control over ego, emotion, and impulse. It shows that you are not ruled by the need to be right, seen, or validated. It proves that you trust the process more than public approval. Silence is not empty. It is full of intention, awareness, and resolve. In a world addicted to noise, choosing silence is a revolutionary act. It is the choice to move with depth instead of drama, with purpose instead of performance. Silence does not mean you have nothing to say. It means you understand the power of timing. And that understanding is not weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. Focus is not just a productivity skill. It is a declaration of how much you value yourself. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Every moment you allow yourself to be distracted, drained, or pulled into what does not serve you, you are making a quiet decision about your worth. To focus is to say, my time matters, my energy matters, my future matters. In this sense, focus is not discipline alone, it is self-respect in action. Many people live scattered lives. Their days are filled with activity, yet their progress is minimal. They are busy but not building. The problem is not lack of effort, it is lack of focus. When your attention is divided, your power is divided. You cannot honor your potential while constantly surrendering your concentration to distractions, opinions, and unnecessary obligations. Focus is the boundary that protects your inner life from being invaded by everything that demands attention but deserves none. Self-respect begins when you stop giving your best hours to your lowest priorities. Focus requires honesty about what truly matters and courage to say no to everything else. Every yes to distraction is a no to your growth. Every hour spent scrolling, gossiping, or worrying about what others are doing is an hour taken from your own development. Focus is the quiet refusal to live reactively. It is the decision to live intentionally. When you respect yourself, you do not let your mind be owned by chaos. You choose what you think about, what you consume, and what you engage with. Focus trains your mind to stay present instead of scattered across regrets about the past and anxieties about the future. Presence is powerful. It allows you to give your full attention to the task, the conversation, and the moment in front of you. That level of engagement produces excellence. Excellence is a natural outcome of self-respect. Focus also reflects emotional maturity. It means you no longer allow external noise to dictate your inner state. You stop reacting to every message, comment, or situation. You understand that not everything requires your response. Some things require your indifference. Protecting your focus means protecting your peace. And peace is not something you find, it is something you guard. Distraction is often disguised as connection. People believe they must always be available, always updated, always involved. But constant availability leads to constant depletion. Focus teaches you that accessibility is a choice, not an obligation. When you respect yourself, you become selective about who and what gets access to your attention. You stop trying to keep up with everything and start committing to what actually moves your life forward. Focus also builds confidence. When you consistently invest your attention in meaningful work, you begin to trust yourself. You see progress. You feel alignment between your actions and your goals. Confidence grows not from affirmation, from evidence. And focus creates evidence through consistent effort. Each completed task, each improved skill, each disciplined choice reinforces your belief in your own capability. There is also a spiritual dimension to focus. It aligns your inner world with your outer actions. When your focus is clear, your decisions become simpler. You waste less time overthinking and second guessing. You move with purpose because you know why you are doing what you are doing. Focus removes confusion by narrowing your attention to what truly deserves it. Respecting yourself through focus also means releasing comparison. Comparison fractures focus because it shifts attention from your path to someone else's progress. It creates dissatisfaction and impatience. Focus brings you back to your own journey, your own pace, and your own responsibilities. When you honor your path, you stop rushing and start building with intention. Focus is not about perfection, it is about commitment. You will face distractions, setbacks, and moments of fatigue. Self-respect is choosing to return to focus even after you drift. It is forgiving yourself quickly and re-centering on your priorities. This ability to realign is a sign of strength, not failure. Ultimately, focus is how you communicate value to yourself without words. It is how you invest in the life you want instead of escaping into the life you have. When you focus, you are saying, I am worth my own attention. That belief changes everything. It changes how you work, how you think, and how you show up in the world. A vision is fragile in its early stages. Before it becomes visible, before it becomes strong, before it has evidence to stand on, it exists quietly inside you as an idea, a calling, a direction. That is why not everyone deserves access to it. Vision requires protection before it requires promotion. Sharing it with the wrong people too early can weaken it, confuse it, or even destroy it, not because the vision is flawed, but because the audience was unqualified. Many people make the mistake of believing that everyone who is close to them is capable of understanding where they are going. Proximity does not equal capacity. Just because someone knows you does not mean they can see you. Vision operates on a different frequency. Those who have never built anything, risked anything, or sacrificed for growth often cannot comprehend what it takes to create something new. Their doubts are not always intentional, but they are often influential. A vision does not need approval to be valid. It needs commitment. When you expose your plans to people who lack belief, discipline, or alignment, you invite unnecessary interference. Their fears begin to shape your decisions. Their limitations start to sound like logic. Slowly, without realizing it, you begin to shrink your vision to fit their comfort level. What started as clarity becomes confusion. Protecting your vision is an act of self-respect. It means recognizing that not all feedback is wisdom and not all opinions are valuable. Some people will question your direction not because it is wrong, but because it threatens their understanding of who you are supposed to be. Growth disrupts expectations. When you change, forces others to confront their own stagnation, and not everyone is willing to do that. Silence is often the safest place for a vision to grow. In silence, your ideas develop without pressure. You are free to explore, adjust, and strengthen your plans without defending them. You give your vision time to mature before it faces the scrutiny of the world. What grows in private stands stronger in public. Not everyone deserves access because not everyone has good intentions. Some people listen to your vision only to measure themselves against it. Others listen to compete, to criticize, or to subtly undermine. Even well-meaning individuals can unintentionally damage your confidence by projecting their fears onto your future. Vision needs encouragement, constant evaluation. There is also a difference between support and curiosity. Support nurtures, curiosity observes. Some people ask about your plans not to help, but to stay entertained, informed, or relevant. They want updates without investment. Giving your vision to people who will not contribute to its growth creates imbalance. Vision is sacred. It should be shared with those who will protect it, pray for it, and push you toward it. As your vision grows, so must your discernment. You learn to recognize who listens with understanding and who listens with skepticism. You notice who celebrates your progress and who becomes uncomfortable when you talk about growth. These signals are not random. They are indicators of who deserves access and who does not. Keeping your vision private does not mean you are secretive or arrogant. It means you are strategic. It means you understand timing. There is a season for preparation and a season for presentation. Revealing your vision too early invites opinions before results. Revealing it at the right time allows results to speak louder than explanations. Vision also requires solitude. When too many voices surround you, clarity fades. Solitude helps you stay connected to the original reason you started. It keeps your vision pure, not diluted by trends or expectations. In solitude, you hear your own voice again, and that voice is essential for long-term success. When the time comes to share your vision, it will be obvious who belongs in that circle. They will add insight without control, encouragement without pressure, honesty without discouragement. Until then, it is okay to build quietly. It is okay to answer questions with simplicity. It is okay to protect what matters. In a world that rewards noise, visibility, constant self-promotion, it is easy to believe that success must be announced before it is achieved. People declare goals loudly, broadcast intentions publicly, and seek recognition before there is anything concrete to show. Yet the deepest truth remains unchanged. Results speak louder than announcements. What you produce, sustain, and demonstrate over time carries more weight than what you promise, explain, or proclaim. Announcements are easy. They cost little. Anyone can talk about what they plan to do, who they are becoming, or what is coming next. Results, however, demand discipline. They require patience, sacrifice, consistency, and resilience. Results are built in silence, through effort that is often unseen and uncelebrated. This is why they carry authority. They cannot be argued with or dismissed. They stand on their own. When you announce too early, you create pressure without progress. Words create expectations, and expectations create judgment. Suddenly, you are managing opinions instead of focusing on execution. You begin to perform for an audience instead of committing to the process. Announcements can shift your attention outward, while results require total inward focus. Growth thrives in privacy, not performance. There is also a danger in confusing intention with achievement. Talking about goals can give the illusion of progress. The mind feels satisfied because it has expressed ambition, but nothing has actually changed. Results break that illusion. They are measurable. They reveal truth. They show not what you desire, but what you have endured, learned, and completed. Results build credibility without explanation. You do not need to convince anyone when your work speaks clearly. You do not need to defend your journey when your progress is visible. Results silence doubt more effectively than arguments ever could. They answer questions before they are asked. They command respect without demanding attention. Those who focus on results understand the power of timing. They know that silence during preparation is not absence, it is investment. Others seek validation through announcements. They seek mastery through repetition. While others talk about future success, they work on present discipline. When results finally appear, they seem sudden to the outside world, but they are the outcome of long, quiet commitment. Results also protect your energy. Every announcement invites feedback, both positive and negative. Feedback can be distracting, discouraging, or misleading. Results reduce the need for conversation. They simplify interactions. Instead of explaining what you are doing, you show what you have done. Instead of defending your choices, you demonstrate their effectiveness. There is humility in letting results speak. It reflects confidence without arrogance. You trust the process enough to let outcomes tell the story. You do not rush to be seen because you are focused on becoming solid. This humility often leads to greater influence because people are drawn to substance more than spectacle. Results also reveal character. Anyone can talk under ideal conditions, but results expose who you are under pressure. They show your ability to stay committed when motivation fades, to remain consistent when recognition is absent, and to persist when progress feels slow. Results are the residue of character in action. In relationships, careers, and personal growth, results matter more than promises. Trust is built through repeated behavior, not declarations. Respect is earned through consistency, not claims. Over time, people learn to believe what you do more than what you say. Results create reliability. Reliability creates influence. Choosing results over announcements requires patience. It means accepting delayed recognition. It means working without applause and improving without affirmation. But this patience pays dividends. When your results finally appear, they arrive with depth, stability, and staying power. They are not momentary, they are sustainable. Ultimately, results are the loudest form of communication. They tell the truth about effort, discipline, and integrity. They cannot be faked or rushed. In a noisy world, quiet results stand out the most. And when you allow your work to speak for itself, you no longer need to raise your voice. The evidence does it for you. Growth is often romanticized as an upward journey filled with motivation, inspiration, and constant forward motion. But real growth is rarely comfortable, and it is never crowded. One of the hardest truths to accept is that growth requires separation, not because people are bad, because not everyone is meant to go where you are going. Elevation demands space, clarity, and the courage to step away from what once felt familiar. Separation does not always begin with distance. It begins with awareness. You start noticing that certain environments drain you instead of developing you. Certain conversations keep circling the same problems without solutions. Certain relationships require you to shrink, explain, or delay your progress. Growth awakens discernment, and discernment reveals what no longer aligns. Many people resist separation because they confuse it with abandonment or disloyalty. They stay connected to habits, places, and people out of obligation rather than alignment. But growth is not betrayal. It is evolution. You can appreciate where you came from without staying there. You can love people without living by their limitations. Every new level of growth requires a different version of you, and that version cannot survive in the same environment that shaped the old one. Old environments reinforce old behaviors. Old associations trigger old patterns. If you want new results, you must be willing to create new space. Separation is not about rejection, it is about preparation. Growth requires silence, and silence often requires distance. When you separate from constant noise, opinions, and expectations, you hear your own voice again. You gain clarity about what you want, what you value, and what you are willing to sacrifice. This clarity is essential because growth without direction becomes exhaustion. Separation also tests your identity. When you step away from what is familiar, you lose the comfort of recognition. People may not understand you. Some may question your changes. Others may label your growth as pride or distance. But transformation often looks like arrogance to those who benefit from your stagnation. Growth forces you to choose between being understood and being fulfilled. There is a cost to staying connected to what no longer fits. It may feel easier to remain in familiar discomfort than to face unfamiliar potential. Comfort zones are expensive. They cost you your future. Separation may feel lonely at first, but loneliness is often the space where self-discovery happens. In that space, you build resilience, discipline, and inner strength. Growth also requires separating from outdated beliefs. Some of the strongest limitations are internal. Stories you were told about who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible. Separation begins in the mind. You challenge assumptions. You unlearn patterns. You release identities that no longer serve you. This internal separation is just as important as external change. Not everyone will celebrate your separation. Some will feel threatened by your growth because it highlights their unwillingness to change. Others will miss the version of you that was more accessible, agreeable, or predictable. But growth is not about maintaining comfort for others. It is about becoming responsible for your own potential. Separation refines your focus. With fewer distractions, your energy becomes concentrated. Your efforts become intentional. You stop spreading yourself thin and start building depth. Growth accelerates when your environment supports your direction instead of competing with it. Over time, separation reveals its reward. You find new connections that align with your values. You enter spaces that challenge and expand you. You develop a sense of self that is rooted, not reactive. What once felt like loss becomes liberation. Growth requires separation because transformation cannot happen in the same conditions that created stagnation. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. And those who are brave enough to separate are often the ones who grow the furthest. Energy is one of the most valuable resources you possess, yet it is also the most easily wasted. You can lose energy without moving, without working, without even leaving your place, simply by engaging in conversations, conflicts, explanations, and emotional reactions that serve no real purpose. This is why silence is not just a preference or a personality trait. Silence is a form of protection. It guards your mental, emotional, and spiritual energy from being drained by what does not deserve it. Word you speak carries energy. Every argument you enter, every justification you offer, every time you explain yourself to someone who has already decided not to understand, you spend energy. Over time, these small expenditures add up, leaving you exhausted without knowing why. Silence interrupts this cycle. It creates a boundary between you and unnecessary emotional labor. It allows you to choose where your energy flows instead of letting others decide for you. Many people feel compelled to respond to everything. A comment, a message, a rumor, an accusation, a misunderstanding. They feel the need to clarify, correct, or defend. But not every situation requires your voice. Some situations require your absence. Silence denies access to your emotional reserves. It prevents others from pulling you into their chaos, confusion, or insecurity. Silence also protects you from overexposure. When you speak too much about your plans, struggles, or emotions, you invite opinions, judgments, comparisons. Even well-intentioned advice can become overwhelming. Silence creates privacy, and privacy creates safety. It gives your thoughts and goals space to develop without interference. What grows quietly often grows stronger. Emotional energy is especially fragile. Engaging in unnecessary conflict drains you faster than physical work. Arguments replay in your mind, words linger, regret follows. Silence short-circuits this process. When you choose not to react, you preserve your peace. You prevent temporary emotions from turning into lasting exhaustion. Silence also strengthens self-control. It teaches you to pause instead of react. That pause is powerful in it. You decide whether something is worth your energy or not. Over time, this practice builds emotional maturity. You stop being easily triggered. You stop handing control of your mood to external events. Silence becomes a tool of self-mastery. There is also clarity in silence. When you remove noise, your mind settles. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. Noise fragments attention. Silence focuses it. Protecting your energy means protecting your ability to think, plan, and act intentionally. Silence creates the mental space needed for insight and wisdom. Silence protects your energy by filtering relationships. People who thrive on drama, attention, or reaction often lose interest when met with calm quietness. Silence reveals intentions. It exposes who seeks connection and who seeks control. By saying less, you learn more about the people around you. Many people confuse silence with suppression, but silence is not about bottling emotions. It is about choosing the right place and time to express them. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Protecting your energy means being selective about where you release your thoughts and feelings. Expression without discernment leads to depletion. Silence also preserves creative energy. Creativity requires space, stillness, and focus. Constant conversation and stimulation fragment the mind. Silence allows ideas to breathe. It gives depth to thought and originality to action. Many breakthroughs are born not in noise, but in quiet reflection. As you practice silence, you become more intentional with your words. When you do speak, it is with purpose, not impulse. This intentionality further protects your energy because your communication becomes efficient instead of exhausting. You stop talking to be understood and start speaking to be effective. Ultimately, silence protects your energy because it aligns you with what matters. It removes you from distractions that offer nothing in return. It teaches you that peace is not found, it is defended. In a world that constantly demands your attention, silence is your shield. And with that shield, you conserve the strength needed to grow, to build, to become who you are meant to be. Reaction is automatic. It is fast, emotional, and often unconscious. Response, on the other hand, is intentional. It is thoughtful, measured, and aligned with purpose. The difference between the two may seem subtle, but it determines the quality of your life. When you live in reaction, you surrender control. When you respond with purpose, you reclaim it. People are not living their own lives, they are reacting to them. A message changes their mood. A comment dictates their confidence. A situation triggers anger, fear, or insecurity. Before they realize it, their emotions are in charge. Reaction pulls you into a cycle where external events control your inner world. Purpose breaks that cycle. Reacting feels natural because it requires no discipline. It is driven by impulse and habit. But what feels natural is not always what is beneficial. Reaction keeps you stuck in patterns you never chose. It causes you to say things you regret, make decisions you have to fix later, invest energy in moments that did not deserve it. Response, however, requires awareness. It asks you to pause, to think, and to choose. Pause is powerful. In that brief moment between stimulus and action, you gain freedom. You ask yourself, does this matter? Is this worth my energy? Does this align with who I am becoming? Purpose lies in that pause. Without it, you are simply being pulled along by circumstances. Responding with purpose means you no longer need to win every argument or defend every position. You understand that not every challenge is a call to action. Some are distractions disguised as urgency. Purpose helps you distinguish between what demands your attention and what deserves your indifference. Reaction often comes from ego. It needs to be right, to be seen, to be validated. Purpose comes from identity. When you know who you are and where you are going, you do not feel threatened by disagreement or misunderstanding. You do not rush to correct every assumption. You let your actions clarify what your words no longer need to explain. Responding with purpose also protects your relationships. Reactions damage trust because they are fueled by emotion rather than understanding. A purposeful response listens before speaking. It seeks clarity instead of control. It considers long-term impact instead of short-term relief. This approach transforms conflict into communication and tension into growth. There is strength in restraint. Choosing not to react does not mean you are weak, it means you are disciplined. You are strong enough to sit with discomfort without exploding or withdrawing. You are mature enough to process emotions before expressing them. This restraint builds respect, both from others and from yourself. Purposeful response also sharpens leadership. Leaders who react create instability. Leaders who respond create confidence. When you remain calm under pressure, others trust your judgment. Your steadiness becomes an anchor in uncertain moments. This is not accidental, it is practiced. Reacting keeps you living in the moment. Responding connects the moment to your future. Purpose reminds you that every decision contributes to who you are becoming. It encourages consistency instead of impulse. Over time, these small, intentional choices compound into transformation. Responding with purpose also frees you from regret. Many regrets are born in reaction. Words spoken too quickly, decisions made too emotionally. Purpose slows you down enough to choose wisely. Even when outcomes are difficult, you can stand by your response knowing it was intentional. Ultimately, stopping reaction and choosing response is an act of self-respect. It says you value your peace, your direction, and your integrity more than momentary release. In a world designed to provoke, the ability to respond with purpose is a rare and powerful skill. And those who master it live not at the mercy of circumstances, in alignment with intention. The most powerful transformations rarely announce themselves. They begin in silence and discipline, in unseen decisions made when no one is watching. While the world encourages constant visibility, true growth often happens in the opposite direction. To build loudly on the inside and quietly on the outside is to understand that the deepest work is internal before it ever becomes visible. Building loudly on the inside means investing aggressively in your mindset, your habits, your values, and your discipline. It is the work of reshaping how you think, how you respond, and how you see yourself. This kind of building is intense, demanding, and honest. It requires confronting weaknesses instead of hiding them, choosing consistency over comfort, and growth over validation. Internal work is loud because it challenges you. It forces you to break old patterns and form new ones. It requires effort even when no one is applauding. This inner construction is where confidence is formed, not the kind that seeks attention, but the kind that remains steady under pressure. When you build on the inside, you are strengthening the foundation of your life. Quietness on the outside is not secrecy, it is focus. It is the decision to stop narrating every step, explaining every move, and seeking approval for every decision. When you move quietly, you protect your momentum. You free yourself from unnecessary opinions and expectations. Silence allows you to work without interference. Many people announce growth before they embody it. They speak about change before practicing it. But real change does not need advertising. It reveals itself naturally through behavior, consistency, and results. Quietness gives your progress time to mature. It allows your actions to align fully with your intentions before they are exposed. Building quietly also preserves humility. It keeps you grounded in the process rather than distracted by recognition. Recognition too early can inflate ego and weaken discipline. Silence keeps you honest. It reminds you that progress is not about being seen, about being solid. When you build loudly on the inside, you develop emotional strength. You learn to regulate reactions, manage stress, and remain focused amid chaos. These skills are invisible but invaluable. They determine how you handle pressure, failure, and success. External success without internal stability is fragile. Internal strength creates resilience. Quiet building also creates surprise. When your growth becomes visible, it appears sudden to others, but it is the result of long-term effort. This surprise is powerful because it shifts perception. People stop questioning your potential and start recognizing your capability. Your results speak without explanation. There is also freedom in quiet growth. You are no longer bound by the need to impress or convince. You move at your own pace. You measure success by alignment, not applause. This freedom allows creativity, clarity, and deeper focus. Building on the inside prepares you for opportunities before they arrive. Preparation meets opportunity. Success feels natural rather than overwhelming. Those who rush visibility often find themselves unprepared for what they attract. Quiet builders grow into their responsibilities. Ultimately, building loudly on the inside and quietly on the outside is about integrity. It means your internal life matches your external actions. There is no performance, progress. In a noisy world, this approach is rare, and that rarity is its power. Every year arrives with promises, resolutions, and intentions. People talk about change, plan for success, and imagine a better version of themselves. But 2026 is not about imagination. It is about embodiment. It is not about announcing goals. It is about becoming undeniable. Undeniable does not mean loud. It does not mean popular. It means so consistent, so prepared, so aligned that doubt no longer has space to exist. Becoming undeniable begins with honesty. Honest about where you are, what you have avoided, what must change. There is no transformation without truth. Many people want a new future without confronting their current habits. 2026 demands accountability. It asks you to stop negotiating with your potential and start honoring it through action. Undeniable people are built, declared. They are shaped in routine, discipline, and repetition. Day after day, they show up when motivation fades. They do the work when no one is watching. They choose growth over comfort and purpose over distraction. This consistency compounds quietly until it becomes visible. 2026 is about mastering yourself before trying to master circumstances. Control over emotions, reactions, time, and attention is the foundation of undeniability. When you stop being reactive, you become reliable. When you stop chasing validation, you develop authority. Undeniable presence comes from inner order, not external approval. Becoming undeniable also requires separation. You cannot carry every relationship, habit, and environment into a higher level of life. Some things must be released to create space for what is next. This is not loss, it is alignment. The future demands a lighter, clearer version of you. Undeniable growth is patient. It understands that real progress takes time. There are no shortcuts to depth. Rushing leads to fragility. Patience builds permanence. In 2026, you are not chasing quick wins. You are building something that lasts. Undeniable people let results speak. They do not argue about their worth. They demonstrate it through excellence. Their work creates credibility. Their behavior builds trust. Over time, their consistency becomes undeniable evidence. There will be resistance. Growth always attracts discomfort from others and from within. Doubt, fear, and fatigue will appear, but undeniable people do not retreat when challenged. They refine, they adapt, they continue. 2026 is also about identity. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. Becoming undeniable means raising your standards for how you think, act, live. You no longer ask what is easy, you ask what is required. When you commit to this path, change becomes visible without announcement. People notice the calm, the clarity, the confidence. They see the results. They feel the difference. You no longer need to convince anyone. You are undeniable.